Narcos, a Netflix series and one of the most popular series ever made. The historic moments portrayed in this series were not only entertaining and amazing but also very dramatic. While making a series based on historic moments such as Narcos, based on the period of drug lord Pablo Escobar, it's hard to give a perfect series with the information correct along with entertainment and that dramatic effect. And because of this, some details are happen to be inaccurate and might cause big change in the series. On this topic, Sebastian Meroquin, son of Pablo Escobar, stated that this series was filled with inaccuracies and he sorted out 28 of them. So, we will talk about some of them and we will see what were these inaccuracies, what impact did it make on the series, and we will judge it whether these changes were a good move or a big blunder. Now all this information has been gathered from a web post by Digital Spy. Link will be provided in the description so you can check it out later. Sebastian states that his uncle and Pablo's brother-in-law was not a drug dealer or a trafficker like his father, but instead he was a noble man with no part in illegal activities. We actually didn't see much about him and might not have made much of a difference towards the series even if it's true. In this series, we see La Kika was helping Pablo to escape from La Catedral, which was being stated false by Sebastian. He added that La Kika was in prison at New York because of providing false document to protect himself from Avianca bombing, but later was caught by police. Still, the decision of him keeping near Pablo during the escape shows how weak Pablo was with very less alibi but still trying to run away. We saw that while escaping from the La Catedral there was a gunfight, but Sebastian denies that and says that the escape took place with no help from the government and just caused the death of one person. But it's hard to believe that the Colombian government will not take extreme measures to protect their vice president who was present at the scene of escape. Sebastian commits that he was not proud of his father's violence and admits that his father killed many people, along with 500 policemen in just 1 month of late 1980s in Medellin. But he denies that Colonel Carrillo, who had been shown as one of the most important person in the series and a person Pablo feared, was killed by his father. The death of Carrillo in the series by Pablo was quite an iconic scene, and if it is false, then Netflix did a great job keeping that dramatic scene. In the series, we saw that till Pablo's last day, he was left with still some of his allies, but Sebastian informs that it was not true. Only Angelito and Chopo were the people left with him. The series shows that being under a lot of pressure and danger, Pablo still had money to survive a rich lifestyle with his family. They had to stay a vigilant life but still had a lot of assets left for them, but Sebastian says it otherwise. He explains that they had to live in shabby slums in the forest or else, and surely his father did not burn his first million earning just to keep his daughter and his family warm. Leon, or else known as Lion in Narcos, was the first smuggler for Pablo in Miami and was watching over the US assets for Pablo and later betrayed him. But Sebastian says that he was loyal and never been to US before dying by order of Pacho Herrera. Narcos shows an amazing character in it known as Ricardo Prisco, which was very entertaining and loved by the audience, but Sebastian says that he was already died before shown in the series, which is not quite believable, but if it's inaccurate, still Netflix showed it and did a great job. The series shows that Pablo's action caused a lot of trouble for his family and had to suffer a lot, but Sebastian denies this and says that he had only been in one gunfight and that's all, no more than it. Sebastian ends this by saying that his father never sent phones to talk to his family in Tequendama hotel but forced to talk very less in local phones. Then Sebastian burst out and says that on the last call they talked a lot and Pablo's final battle never happened and didn't kill any journalist in Los Olivos in neighborhood of Medellin. He says his father committed suicide. Now this was really hard to believe because of the type of person displayed in Narcos and explained by his son will never commit suicide and die without putting a fight. Now as been said by the Sebastian, this detail seems not quite true while some of them are really interesting and believable. Making any series or movie based on historic moments, it's really hard to keep it as accurate as possible with so much less to information and thinking about entertaining the audience. But Netflix managed out to do both very nicely, and even though they had so much inaccuracy, there wasn't anything seemed like a blunder which caused deep effects in the story. So that's all for the video.